Are you struggling in life more than you would care to admit? Perhaps you've been putting in the work, but not getting the results that you know you deserve. Well, understanding and applying the mirror principle is going to change all of that, so you're definitely in the right place. Because in this video, I'm going to be going over what the mirror principle is and give you some things that are going to help you to apply it. And make sure you stick around to the end, because I'm going to be giving you something at the end of this video that was told to me personally through literal reality creation masters that's really going to supercharge this process. So let's jump into it. So first and foremost, what is the mirror principle? At its kind of base level, the mirror principle states that the outer world follows the inner world, that the inner world, your inner garden, will start to reproduce itself in the outer world after a certain amount of time. And we're also going to be covering why it takes a certain amount of time, but this is essentially what I want you to think of when you think of the mirror principle, that life is a mirror to that which is happening on your inner world. So if you have an absolutely chaotic inner world, it's not surprising that you would be experiencing an absolutely chaotic outer world. Someone who is continuously stressed, for example, is usually going to reflect not so favorable things in the outer world. But someone who is predominantly calm and someone who comes from a place of love and abundance and confidence and things of this nature will reflect that through the mirror principle in the form of opportunities in people and other things that will cause that to replicate itself, to manifest itself in the outer world. And so just keep in mind that the mirror principle essentially means that the outer world follows the inner world. The outer world reflects, after a certain period of time, the inner world, the inner garden, what you're cultivating in that place. And again, I'm going to give you some things that help you cultivate the inner world, some things to kind of track what's happening in the outer world and connect it to what you're doing in the inner world. But essentially, this is what it means, and this is a universal principle. It ties into the predominant law of the universe, which is called the law of balance, which we're going to get into as well. So now you know essentially what the mirror principle is. Very simple. Simply put, that the outer follows the inner. So how can we use this law of the universe? This will be the same for every single person on the planet. This law works the same way. And again, you can just look out at the world, people you know, even within yourself, to see that this is the case. What's cultivated in the inner will reflect in the outer. This is a law of the universe. And so how do we take advantage of this law? Because let's say you are a certain way and you have certain conditions and certain patterns, you think in a certain way, you visualize in a certain way, and guess what? Even if you're not doing a visualization practice, you're still visualizing. You're still seeing pictures in your head. You're still creating stories in your mind's eye. You're just not doing it consciously. And one of the things that can really help with this is to start doing it consciously, which we'll get into a little bit later. But how do we go from whatever we've gotten now, because this is something I want you to remember, and this is something to absolutely write down if you are taking notes, that your current physical reality is simply your energetic history. Your current physical reality is your energetic history. And what does that mean? It means what you are seeing in the outer world is simply how you have been in the inner world in the past leading up to now, because it takes a little bit of time for it to manifest in the physical world. And so who you have been being, who you have showed up as in the inner world, what you have been entertaining as far as what's going on in your inner world is reflected in your current physical reality. And I'm going to give you an actual time frame in how long it takes from usually cultivation of the inner world to show up in the outer world. We're going to be going over that a little bit later. But ultimately, again, keeping in mind this important phrase, it's something I remind myself of all the time, is that the outer world is simply an energetic history. Why? The energetic is the quantum world, is the inner world. The outer world is a reflection, an image of the history of that inner world. Meaning for a sustained period of time, if you're in the energy of, say, someone who's successful, you're being someone who is in the energy of love and abundance and prosperity. If you stay in that long enough, you will create an energetic history of those emotions, which will show up in the physical world through the mirror principle, through the outer following the inner. The quantum energetic is instantaneous. The physical takes a bit of time. So the important question I want you to ask yourself is, who do I need to become in order to live the life of my dreams, in order to get to that best next version of you? And what's cool is life will always help you to get to this person if you start paying attention, which we'll get into later in this video. But ultimately, who do I need to become? And I actually want you to write this down. So whatever it is that you're aiming to do, let's say you want to do something like travel, you want a dream partner, whatever it is, and just really get clear on what it is you want, because something you're going to learn is if you don't know what it is you want, the universe can't support you in really receiving the things that you do want. You are a conscious creator. And so you need to identify in your heart, what is it you're being led to? Is it a certain financial goal? Is it, you want to have an absolute dream partner that you can grow with together, that you can, evolve with together, that can be that support for them and you for them and them for you, right? You want to get clear on what this is. And then you want to ask the question, like I've said, who do I need to become in order for that to be the reality? So ultimately, who is the person that already has this as their reality? Who is the person? What is it that they do? What is their inner world look like that would create, through the mirror principle, a reflection of what I actually want? And I want you in detail to start describing this person. And so what you're going to do is, what values does this person have? Do you think this person would compromise on their values? Most likely not. What are their characteristics? What do they prioritize? What is their physiology? How do they hold themselves? How do they present themselves? And again, there's going to be certain patterns in you that's going to say, well, this is not you. Look at all this stuff you've done. Don't listen to that. That is an old story. It's not you. What we are doing is creating this kind of character, creating this potential version of yourself that you can absolutely become and be right now in this moment. But we need to, again, identify what that is. So who do you need to become? Now, the first thing is, I want you to visualize yourself as this person very, very often. Now, why do we do this? Visualization and similar practices have to do with the inner world. You are giving your subconscious, your brain, an image to then project into the outer world. And if you tune into that often, you see that, you connect to that, and do it from first person, by the way, and you can look in the mirror and things to see what the physiology looks like or whatever, but really visualize this person and connect and associate and be that person. Be it now. And what you're going to find is your brain does not know the difference. Your subconscious does not know the difference between this thing we call physical reality and a vivid visualization. And this is true. There are so many studies to back this up. You can visualize vividly something and your brain will believe that it is actual reality. It will believe that this is true and this is the case. And so in the comfort of your own home, you can visualize, or as you're going throughout the day, visualize yourself as this person, and you will start to notice yourself more naturally being like that person, just this ideal version of yourself. And I want to mention a quote. It's essentially to have more loyalty to the vision than the physical world. And this is something I learned from really masters of reality creation as well, from mentors I've had. And they always say something along the lines of, do not trust appearances. And what they're saying is the physical world. Because again, this is an energetic history. This is where this comes into play. So anything you are seeing in your world is actually from the past, from your energetic history, meaning it is subject to influence, it is malleable, and can be changed. So if you're looking at it and going, well, this is just the way it is and always will be, you're kidding yourself. No, it's the way that it's come about because of how you have been resonating and being in the past, how you have been using the mirror principle in the past. But you can change that in this very moment. And when you give more loyalty and faith to the vision is what's going to start manifesting in the physical world through, again, that being your energetic history. Because now if you give your loyalty to the vision, that's the energy you're sending off. The universe starts bringing in opportunities. The universe starts bringing in people and all these different things. And then your history starts to change and it starts to manifest differently in the physical. So keep tuning into that vision that you have for yourself and it will start to come. Now, one thing that's going to really help you to apply the mirror principle so much more effectively is to dive even deeper into what it is and how to apply it, which I show you how to do in this video. It's a real deep dive on this principle. So if you like this video, it resonated with you, I highly recommend you check this out next.